It's mid-morning in Brevard County, Florida. I'm the Philosopher Pirate, and this is Florida at Large. Welcome to my office, and thank you to the many subscribers in the last few days. This is kind of an early release video. I am also working on an X page and one or more websites related to my travels, my new career as an investigative journalist, and also the remote IT work that I do. The reason why I'm releasing this video as kind of a early type thing is my whole lifestyle now basically is geared around the state parks. I have a state park pass. I don't want to flash it and give everyone my number, but it entitles me to entry to all of the 175 Florida state parks. I've currently visited, and I may have lost track, but it's somewhere between 107 and 109 of those state parks. Several, by the way, are only accessible by water. So those ones I will not be able to drive this van and work in this office, which is basically a steering wheel desk. And sometimes I have a laptop computer here. Right now I have a phone in front of me. And every morning I start my day by reading the news. Yesterday I was a little disturbed. I don't think the stories were released in the morning. I think I caught them later in the day. And about Ron DeSantis converting 9 of the Florida state parks, or improving, another word, or developing. I don't know. Here's the problem I have. I don't know if DeSantis, Ronald Dion DeSantis, our governor, I don't know if he's the perpetrator or the provocateur. I don't know. That's the whole thing about me. I'm not going to jump to conclusions and re-report. That's all journalists do today, is they just re-report. They don't actually seem to investigate anything from the ground. I don't see it anymore. There's the days of 60 Minutes and and Murray and Cronkite. I think they're gone, and maybe they should come back. But that's a whole nother avenue that I'm going to be pursuing, hopefully. And by the way, I have not written a script for this. I'm not too happy about this park thing. 9 parks are slated for 350 room hotels, championship golf courses. The pickleball court thing really doesn't bother me that much. Pickleball courts do not take up that much space. They can be incorporated into the existing campgrounds at many of these state parks, and I don't think it's really going to have a huge impact. The point is, when I'm sitting here at my desk in the various state parks, I'm currently not at a state park. I'm currently at a rest stop in Brevard County. Is that butterflies often land right on the steering wheel. They will land on my hand while I'm typing. Dragonflies often will buzz through and land. Same thing with bees, and occasionally wasps, which is a little bit unsettling at times. I've had birds. I had a Carolina wren sit right here, for almost 10 minutes and just watch me. I've been sitting at the tables working at, the picnic tables, and I had a gopher tortoise pulling at my shoe. I had to lift my feet. I've had raccoons sit right across from me at Pennicamp State Park in Key Largo. Sit right across from me on the table, sitting right in front of me, waiting for me to finish my sandwich so they could scrap the crumbs. I've had squirrels come into my vehicle at Anastasia State Park, which is one of the ones slated for a 350 room resort. I don't visit the state parks to see people. I don't visit the state parks for commotion. I don't visit the state parks for all of the, that type of activity. I visit the state parks for serenity, and to get and to be in touch with nature. And the reason why I started with it, is some people need to get in touch with nature. Everything cannot be Miami Beach. If I want to see all that concrete and all that stupidity and all those people and all those big hotels and resorts and being hassled by security guards and cops and everything else, then I will go hang out in Miami Beach, or I will go hang out in Disney World. But the reason why I like the state parks is there are friendly park rangers who talk to you, and we exchange ideas. I meet people that are camping. I meet people like myself that are remote workers. And I also meet homeless people, and they all have stories to tell as well. But that whole atmosphere, being in touch with nature and an occasional passerby, is the whole idea of the state parks in my mind, and that's what I enjoy. I will not enjoy resorts, and I will protest against it. But before I do that, if that's what's going to happen, if it's Ronald Dion DeSantis, if that's his motivation, I don't know. I kind of like the governor, but right now I don't, if he really is behind this stuff. But I'm going to determine if that is actually the truth. And if I have to drive to Tallahassee, I will do that. I do that often. I am going to try to visit all 9 of the parks. Right now I have to do a little bit of work because I have some bills to pay. So I'm trying to raise some funds through some sources. Not through this particular video particularly, but if someone would like to donate, that's fine. There's ways to reach me through this video channel, Florida at Large. You can also reach me on X at also Florida at Large, all one word. And it's, and those that know me can reach me via telephone. I am not happy with this whole park development scheme. And what this video is about is I'm planning on determining who is behind this. Who is going to profit the most from the development of these parks, and who is going to profit down the road. I know in the Florida Keys, which is where I reside, or South Florida, so Florida Keys, I kind of reside everywhere. I'm Florida at Large. But I noticed the Tourist Development Council, or whatever the hell it is, the TDC, they get a lot of money from that 4%. And I travel all over Florida. I don't see a single advertisement. If I go to the welcome centers when I enter Florida on I-10, this is all you find. You find one little guide here, and you got a dry Tortugas, and you got something from the Key West train. Nothing about Marathon, nothing about Key Largo, nothing about Islamorada, Big Pine, No Name, Summerlin. I mean, I can name all the keys. I don't want to go through all that now. There's nothing. So what is the TDC spending their money on other than 100,000 plus salaries for all of their board members and so forth? Where is the money going that they're collecting all those room taxes? Same thing with this development, with Ron DeSantis here, and all these articles about the parks. Who's going to profit from this? And another problem I have, there was a bicycle trail built in Marathon, COVID era. I watched a company from Missouri, I believe, doing the paving and most of the work. You mean there wasn't a contractor in South Florida or in the Keys that could do this work under a federal grant? And it was explained to me by local politicians that the grant money had to be spent or they were going to lose it. I don't know what it was, $5 million, $10 million. It's just more stupidity. They took a perfectly fine bicycle trail and made it worse and spent a bunch of federal money from taxpayers all over the country. But the big problem is, that happens all the time, I guess, but it shouldn't a local contractor benefited from that, or even just a South Florida contractor benefited from that, not pulling people in from Missouri. And not that I have anything against the Show Me State, but same thing with this project here. I have a feeling that when I start looking into this, and I'm hoping that you can all support me in this endeavor, and maybe a major news organization might be interested as well, but I would like to travel and talk to these people and determine who is going to profit from this. And I have this sick feeling it's going to be not Florida contractors. It's not going to be Florida developers. It will be some firm from New York or from Salt Lake City. I have a feeling that this is not about promoting Florida tourism. This is more about enriching friends of politicians, Republican or Democrat. I don't really care. The politics today is so stupid. That's why I'm not going to focus on that in this channel. I'm going to focus on Florida issues only, and the only issues I'll focus on that are outside of Florida, maybe the space industry and things like that do affect Florida. But I'm basically launching this channel. This is kind of a pre-launch because this is not my official launch. My official launch is I'm going to upload a whole bunch of videos at once. And that's what I was advised to do by some experts in this field so that I could get enough page views so I could monetize. I just could not let today go by. And yesterday it was troubling me as well about this park thing, because this is where I do my work. And part of my video series is I'm planning on visiting all 175 state parks. And I don't really want to visit state park if it's going to have a resort. That doesn't appeal to me. There are some that already have, like there's De Leon Springs, I believe it is. They have a restaurant, famous pancake house. You actually cook your pancakes on the table. There's other state parks that have some rooms there. I believe Great Beach is another one that has like 8 cottages. But these were there before they became state parks. They were donated to the state of Florida, and they should be conservation and preservation areas. And not that I'm against free enterprise or capitalism. I'm all for it. But nature needs to stay nature. Teddy Roosevelt did a lot for this country with the national parks, and some of those are being ruined as well. But I'm strictly sticking with Florida at this point. I believe that it's more important, and I believe it's the best thing for Florida to keep the parks pretty much the way they are, other than fixing things that are broken forever. At Falling Water State Park, there's a small tree. It's about this big that has fallen across a walkway, so that when one is viewing the fountain, or not the fountain, I'm sorry, the waterfall, and it's a beautiful waterfall, by the way. It goes into a sinkhole. It doesn't fall down a mountainside. Falling Water State Park is definitely worth it. But there's a little trail, and if you can walk on that little boardwalk, so to speak. It's a raised, almost like a dock above the sinkholes and the forest area, and so forth. And you're walking through the hammock, and you can walk to the tapped oil well, which is it's historic. There was a huge oil drilling operation, I believe, in the 1930s in that place. But in order to walk to it now, you have to walk all the way back out to the parking lot, and then walk up a dirt road, and then walk past, I believe it's called Turtle Lake, and which is a nice place to swim, by the way. And the fish will nibble on your feet there if you have any exfoliating. You want that done without spending $600 in a spa. But you walk past that and then walk down the other direction, and you can walk to that particular, you can see the capped oil well, and then you can walk a little further down and you can get where that same tree, about this big, it's been like that for 6 months. You mean that they couldn't find a local contractor in that area with a chainsaw? I could do it myself probably in 15 minutes. Now, to dispose of all the wood and everything, but there's no need to. You just throw it onto the ground and let the termites that's what the parks are all about. It's about letting nature take care of itself. And then do a structural analysis on the walkway, make sure that it's sound for human traffic, including wheelchairs, and because some of those can be quite heavy. And then make sure that it's okay, and then reopen it. But for 6 months, it's been closed. So I think the state of Florida needs to focus on issues like that, and not mega developments. Golf courses are completely contrary. They destroy the land with all of the spraying and the herbicides and the pesticides and everything else, so the poor little golfers won't get stung by fire ants, or the grass will be perfectly green on the greens. I'm not against golfers, but there's plenty of championships. Florida's loaded with championship golf courses. Why do we need them in the state parks? We don't. And I'm very passionate about this, because this is where I do my work. My office is basically every state park in Florida, other than the ones that I can't get to by water. I believe there's 5 of them. I could be mistaken, so if anyone wants to correct me in the comments, that's fine. I really am against this, and hopefully this is not too long-winded for this type of video. And I know it's in the vertical format, which is good for a short. I was only planning on doing shorts in my vehicle, but I want to show my desk. And this is where I do my work. And this is my coffee. And I have a video on brewing coffee right out of the side of my van, and also grinding coffee outside of the side of my van. I have videos of me showering, shaving, pretty much everything one has to do to get through life. I'm mobile, and I'm everywhere and nowhere at the same time. And that's about Florida at large. And I am enjoying this beautiful state, from Panhandle West, which is Perdido, basically, Floribama, all the way to Key West. And not to forget, you go up that northeast corner to Amelia Island, Nassau County, just as beautiful. And the varied the types of sand in the beaches varies greatly by region. It's amazing. And I want to take everyone that's following this channel to all those places that I've found, some of the most beautiful places, and also take you some great restaurants and some nightlife around Florida that I've found. And I'm generally not into the downtown club scene, obviously, so you're not going to see any of that. You're going to see great roadhouses. You're going to see great biker bars, dive bars, neighborhood bars. You're going to see little eateries, diners, and so forth. And also found some good coffee houses, although I brew all my own coffee. And eventually I plan on roasting my own coffee beans on the road. I did do that when I was residing in the Keys. So that's a little bit of an introduction to what will be happening. But if you would like to provide me for some information on who is behind this, I'm going to do my own research, of course. I'm very good at computers. Who is behind this park so-called development? I'm going to find a better word as time goes by, but I'm not going to call it development. To me, it's ruining the parks. I'm not going to have gopher tortoise, tugging at my shoes, probably begging for food because somebody feeds them, and they shouldn't do that, by the way. I also have encounters with gator. I've been 15, 20 feet from a bear on 2 or 3 occasions. Deer walk right up to me, not just in the Keys, at several of the parks, including in the Emerald Coast area. That's where I can particularly remember deer walking right up to me. That's how I get all these good photographs that I've shared with my friends over the years via text messages. I'll be sharing them on my channels now, both on X and on YouTube. I don't think that will happen when there are hundreds of people and a lot more automobiles, of course. Where are they all going to park? 350 room? That's a lot of parking spaces, by the way. You have all the staff. You're going to have at least 80, 90, maybe 100 in the staff. Then you've got all the people staying there, and it's 350 rooms. So that means five per room, maybe 6 per room. That's a lot of people, and these parks aren't really that big. So I don't get it. And then the golf courses are going to ruin vast stretches of land that is pristine. It's natural Florida. And there's not going to be anything left. The parks are about the only thing that is left. Actually see old Florida the way it really was back in the days of the settlers. And back in the days of the settlers, they could actually sleep on the ground anywhere. You can't do that because of the imported fire ant, which I already have a lot of shoots on that, and I'm also going to do a little study and provide a instructional video on the history of the fire ant, but also on how to avoid fire ants and what's a good remedy. And I found some that are environmentally sound, at least as far as my research shows. But that's the whole idea of sharing with you. Someone out there may say, no, what you're doing is not right, and so forth. So we'll hear that. Anyways, if you can provide me with any information, if you could support me by contacting your legislatures, contact people in the bureaucracy as well, give them a hard time. They deserve it. They're there to serve you. They're public servants. They're not directors. They're public servants. Make them do their job. Telephone them, send them emails, send them old-fashioned letters, paper, believe it or not. Let them know you're not in support of this. Florida already has enough development. And again, I'm not going against free enterprise or capitalism. In Anastasia Island, for instance, every hotel in Anastasia Island, with one exception, it's a Holiday Inn, and it's probably, it may be, I don't know, Bass hotels, how they do all that, if they're all corporate or whatever. But every other one is a mom and pop hotel. Every single one of them. And I've stayed at many of them. I stayed at 4 or 5 of them. Those hotels are going to be losing business to the state of Florida. Now, should the state of Florida, as a governmental body, and I'm sure they're going to contract it out to some big resort group out of New York City or, Chicago or something, that's probably what will happen. I doubt if there'll be a Florida group. And even if it is, it's still not right. Florida should not be in the hotel business, in the lodging business. I understand there are some existing lodges and cabins and so forth at some of the parks, and they were there prior to the donation. And what about these donators? They're rolling over in their graves. They donated these parks to keep them the way they were, not to redevelop them and make them into Miami Beach. Who the hell wants that? I don't. So let me know what you think in the comments, and I really appreciate it. And I know this was a vertical, portrait shoot, and it's according to the format. It's too long for that, but this is what I'm going to start with today. And again, I'm the Philosopher Pirate. This is Florida at Large, Brevard County, mid-morning.